Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? You know, some subjects never die, do they? And so in this basic fantasy role-playing game group that Jason, Dark Age Roleplay Game, made on Facebook, the subject of fudging came up once again. And so we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to, come at this from a different angle than I have in the past. And that is this. If you find yourself in any game, doesn't matter what it is, if you find yourself starting to feel obligated to fudge dice rolls, to change what they are as a game master, say in particular, because that's generally who we're talking about. Faking dice rolls. We're not talking about cheating. On the part of the players. There's that time when you have to ask yourself, am I playing the right game? And what I mean by that is this: if you as a group have sat down and decided that you want to have a game that has a certain feel, and then you find that the system, the mechanics, continually thwart your attempts to have that feel, if the system is fighting your intent, so to speak, perhaps you're not playing the right game. Now, it could be that you've decided to have this culture of play where, we want to have a experience X, whatever that experience might be. And, you've decided that, to accept the fact that sometimes the game master is going to have to fudge dice rolls or change results. And this could be, something like, maybe your character didn't fail that saving throw. Maybe your character didn't die this meaningless death. Maybe as you fight the bad guys, as a game master you realize, oh man, well they're going to take out this what was supposed to be an epic, this was supposed to be an epic battle, and they're going to take out the big bad evil guy way too fast. So you're going to follow some of the conventional wisdom that's out there on the internet, where you're going to beef up the bad guy all of a sudden. Or maybe it's the converse is true, and you realize that, hey, this was supposed to be really easy, and instead, the party's about to have their butts handed to them, so I'm going to weaken these bad guys. All these things kind of fall under the umbrella of fudging. Maybe your main characters keep dying when they're not supposed to die. All that sort of thing. And I'm not talking about a planned story, although that could be part of it as well. But if your intention for what the game is going to be like is constantly thwarted by the system, you may be playing the wrong game. And let me give you an example of something I thought about just really recently. I had the privilege to run a really fun game, a basic fantasy role-playing game, a few days ago, like this weekend. I think it was Sunday. And I played with Jason, I played with Marcus, and I played with Dawn. And great game. First time playing with Dawn, and it was a hoot. We actually, had a really great time. They brought 3 really engaging characters to the table, and what I thought might be an adventure where they would be constantly running for their lives and getting involved in a lot of altercations, because I set this scenario up where there'd be several warring factions. Like if they did what I thought they might do, there's a good chance that they were going to get in a lot of trouble. This didn't exactly happen, which was fine. I love to find out what actually really happens in the game, but that was my inclination. This is probably how it was going to go. Instead, it turns about, the story turned out to be, the story that unfolded, about getting the girl. Really, really interesting. And some great stuff happened. But as the session closed, and we all agreed that that was great, these 3 characters are awesome, and we would love to see what happens with them next, I was thinking to myself, the next day, it would be a real shame. And take this with a grain of salt. This is just me thinking, to myself. It'd be a real shame if we play this game again and one of them just, dies, fails some kind of saving throw, because I'm really enjoying, these 3 characters and, how they're interacting with each other. And this is one of those things where if we, as a group, decided that we wanted this game, this continuing game, if we make this a campaign or what have you, to be about the madcap adventures of these lovable, Conan wannabes, are we better off playing this game, where the system may fight us, or do we want to play like a different game? I'm just picking this one up because that's the first one I had on my shelf that that jumped out at me. Now, I'm not saying I want to convert these characters, from basic fantasy role-playing game to Fate Accelerated or anything like that. And we were probably just going to play them as basic fantasy role-playing, game characters, which is fine. However, if we decided as a group that we wanted this to have this kind of feel, and things like meaningless character death, or constantly being thwarted in what they're trying to do, just like hard stops, that sort of thing, as opposed to like the kind of like failing forward that something like this would give you, we would be faced with a choice. Either we were going to have to decide to adopt a culture of play where we're going to fudge dice rolls, where I am behind the screen, so to speak, going to massage results and change details to create the kind of feel that we want, or we would have to make the decision to play a different game. So, that's one of those things you have to ask yourself when you find yourself fudging dice rolls or feeling obligated to fudge dice rolls or change things behind the screen. If the system's fighting you, are you playing the right game, or do you need to reconsider and play a different game? Food for thought. What do you think about that, kids?